Hello, my lovelies. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. We are being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. Thank you for joining me again last week. We had a great time, learned a lot, and we're going to be doing the same thing again tonight, trying to finish out that calendar. And I do have some other fill-in stuff if we have time, because holy cow, an hour goes by fast. Again, just to let you guys know, we do have Burning Man's coming up next week. And if you want to do the Beltane event with the Spokane Pagans, that will be May 11th at Waterfront Park in Medical Lake, Washington. And that does start about 10 o'clock. And then the ritual will begin about 3 p.m. So we are going to be continuing with the pagan calendar, as I said. We talked about Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, and we got mostly into Beltane. I added some more information, so we'll go over that too. And then we still have Letha, Lunasta, and Maven, and then Samhain. So it's just a lot going on. The call lines are open tonight, so if you do want to call in and share your thoughts or opinions, by all means, give me a call. The number to call in is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. Now, if you do catch us on YouTube later, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so that way you'll know when we've got new videos coming up. All right, so getting back into Beltane and kind of what's going on and some fun stuff there. It's a fun time of the year. Spring is finally sprung. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but where I am, the grass is green, and if it keeps up like this, I'm still going to have to mow the yard in my winter clothes because it's kind of chilly out, and there is snow in the forecast for this weekend. I cannot believe that. I'm done with the snow. We should move on. So Beltane really is just the celebration of fire of Bel, which is, and Belinos is the name for the sun god in the Celtic tradition. And Beltane really is the halfway point between spring and summer. It's just, like I said, an exciting time because spring is now in full bloom. And the longer warm days of summer are approaching. And just remember to give thanks and have gratitude for the fertility of spring. Now, with Beltane, the festivities traditionally began on the evening of the end of April and go forward through the 1st of May. There's generally big bonfires celebrating the fire, of course, the symbol of life. And you'll be a lot of folks are going to be wearing flower crowns and then dancing the maypole. And again, just like Samhain, Beltane is considered a time when the veil between the worlds is thin and is often considered a very magical and powerful time. Beltane marks the return of vitality and passion and the emergence of the young sun god into manhood when he meets the goddess and falls in love. Now, this time of year is often considered a bit scandalous because it's when when the Earth Mother opens up to the fertility god, and then their union brings, the healthy livestock, strong crops, and new life. And the new life of the season is definitely representative of this. So the focus is really on the matured god, fertility, protection of animals, your gardens, and very often love magics. That's also part of the reason why prom happens this time of the year, in case you didn't know. And it's not like it was traditionally when people would just run naked out in the woods and decorated with flowers. No, instead we just decorate up our kids and send them off to a big dance. Sure, why not? The symbols of the season are generally considered the maypole, which is a bit of a phallic symbol. Eggs for fertility. You can do pillared candles for purity. And then the chalice, which is also a very feminine symbol. Also, the hawthorn or blackthorn trees are very symbolic of the season also. If you wanted to anoint yourself with special oils at this time of year, generally the passion flower, rose, vanilla, those are commonly used. And then for your altar, if you wanted to burn some incense, lilac, rose, or frankincense are also very powerful. And these are, Just really good things to also have on your altar as the lilac begins to bloom. Put a sprig of the lilac blooms, or rose buds, or passion flowers, or any of that, hawthorn or blackthorn branches. Also, really good things to include in your altar for the symbology of the season. And colors that you may want to integrate into your altar and your clothing, perhaps, or if you're doing rituals, your costuming, or just those bright, vibrant colors, the blues, the yellows, greens, pinks, orange, the rainbow, red, white, all of those very vibrant colors that we see in the spring when everything's starting to bloom. And yeah, embrace them. Embrace the colors. Um, Next, the holiday we have is the summer solstice, or Litha. That's generally between June 19th and 20th, or around December 20th, depending on your northern hemisphere versus southern. And Litha is the celebration, really, of the longest day of the year. It's a time when not only the bulk of the work in getting the crops into the ground is done, but you can kind of sit back and enjoy watching things grow. So the days have also become long enough to do both. That relaxation time that we have when we barbecue in the evenings, and the work that we do during the day. Um, Traditionally, this is when engagements are announced, and continued blessings are asked for a full, abundant crop in the coming harvest or in the coming year. This is also a time when we celebrate the sun god's greatest strength, and he's also Lord of the Forest at this point, and just very powerful, and you can feel it in the strength of the heat of the sun during the summer. It's also a really good time, of course, to let go of those old patterns and what doesn't work. So those intentions that we were considering, during the winter time, and then as the year began with, the intentions that we set for the year. Don't for we should be looking back and thinking about those as we go throughout the year. And if those old patterns aren't working, or if those new things just aren't working, now's a really good time to ditch them and start something different. Um, don't be afraid of change. That's really what our life is. It's a lot about change, and yeah, just let them go. Move on. Don't let that baggage weigh you down. You'll notice that often marriages happen during the summer, quite often. So it's really a focus on that love and marriage and divination. It's just a really good time to kind of look to the future. Um, some of the symbols that we see often during Aletha are fairies, mistletoe, oak leaves, which is symbolic of the oak king, seashells, and just the summer bounty. Some of the oils that you might want to anoint yourself with or use in your diffuser, perhaps, would be like cinnamon, heliotrope, lavender, lemon, mint, some musks, orange, sandalwood. Those warm, spicy kind of scents that we hear during or we smell during the summer. For your altar, some incense that you should use would be things like lemon, myrrh, pine pitch if you can get it, rose, wisteria, lavender, again with the frankincense, and lily of the valley. Those are also considered very warm summer smells, and very cleansing also. Colors that we see during the summer are often the strong blues, the golds, the vibrant greens, oranges, reds, some tans, some yellow, just the summer colors, and it's really just a time of warmth, and you can almost feel that prosperity that's seeping into the soil and into the world and the life around us. Um, Moving on, of course, we finally have Lunasa, which is our first harvest, which is generally about April 1st, or in the southern hemisphere, and August 1st in the northern. And this really is the midway point, of course, between summer and autumn. Um, and it's a time when we are beginning the harvest. Often the first fruits or produce of the season are available, and we're starting to gather those in, and we're enjoying them, but we're also starting to prepare them for storage, whether we're canning or drying or preserving in some fashion. One way to celebrate this, of course, is The new harvest is with bread, fresh breads that we've made with the fresh, freshly ripened grains, eating those fresh fruits. And of course, make sure you're giving gratitude back to the earth and the gods and the goddesses, um, to let them know that you really appreciate those gifts that you've been receiving throughout the year. Um, Again, we're still in that kind of marriage and union mode. Just it seems like people want to get together during the summer. And we're also celebrating the Celtic god Lu. He's the Irish sun god. Um, and he's also preparing during Lunasa for his foster mother's funeral celebration. It's um, just he's celebrating her life at this point. And we're also the maiden is symbolically beginning to enter old age as the days are beginning to shorten, and the Celtic god Lu, of course, is beginning to lose strength also as he ages. So the focus at this point really is again that first harvest. Games. We're doing blessing rites. We're making sure our debts are paid from all the bounty we've gathered throughout the warmer months, and moving into the fall. And we're starting to look at weather magic a little bit as the fall storms are starting to gather on the horizon. And we know those winter storms are going to be coming soon. Um, Now, as far as the games go, this is why so many sports really do happen in the fall. Well, your soccer, your football, those really high contact sports are happening. It's a celebration of that. Symbolically, you might see corn dollies, ears of corn, shafts of green, wheat weavings, the fresh fruit, fresh bread. A lot of those just symbolically showing the bounty of your harvest. And those are really good to be represented, of course, in your altar. Um, and then oils that you might want to anoint yourself with would be like safflower or eucalyptus or even corn oil. For incense on your altar, your aloes, rose again, sandalwood. Those are again still those summery smells because we're still celebrating summer just a little bit as we move into the fall. And of course, the colors are becoming a little darker: the golden yellow, the greens, the brown, just the oranges, the reds, because the earth is really beginning to die at this point and going to sleep, and so the things that were green are beginning to dry out. The next holiday to really celebrate, or the Sabbath, would be the autumnal equinox, or Maven. And that's about September 21st or May 1st, depending on your hemisphere. And Maven really is the true arrival of autumn, and with it, the reaping of the harvest. So we're really in full gathering mode as the crops are coming in, the hay is being put up. You're making sure your canning is getting done, your preserving is getting done, and you're really stocking up your pantry for the winter months. This is a celebration of abundance and that second harvest, and the fruit of the labor that you've put in throughout the year, and it really signals the preparations for the winter that's soon to come. And we need to make sure during autumn, and we really are accepting that the soil is dying, if you will, in preparation for the winter. It's symbolic, but it's just going into hibernation and going away. This is again often a celebration of the Green Man. He's really been there taking care of things for us, and don't forget to celebrate him. And make sure during the fall or autumn that you're finishing up your old business from the whole year, and you're ready for that time of rest and reflection that we try to take during the winter when we don't get to go outside as much or do as much. And do remember to give thanks to the gods, the goddesses, the spirits around you, just because they've done a lot for you throughout the year already. And this is really when the transition of the goddess is happening. So she's no longer the mother, and she's really becoming the crone at this point. And the sun god is beginning to prepare for death and rebirth. So our focus again is that harvest. There's often a corn festival at this point. Symbolically, we're going to see things like wine or gourds, pine cones, grains, fall fruits like your apples, your pears, autumn leaves, as they're turning colors and they've got those bright, vibrant oranges and golds, berries. Again, the cornucopia might come out. This is a good time to be using it as a way to display some of those fall produce that you're gathering. Thistles, white roses, and marigolds are also very symbolic of this season. Oils to anoint yourself with or the world around you, or in your diffuser would be like black pepper, alfalfa, if you like it, patchouli. Personally, patchouli doesn't call to me, so we avoid it. It's just, but it is symbolic of the season. Incense that you might want to have on your altar at this point would be things like myrrh, sage, pine, passion flower. Those are all again kind of the fall smells. And the colors that we're seeing at this time of year is the colors are like red and orange and russet and maroon, some blues and greens, yellows. It's just as the earth is going to sleep, and it's been just a real transition for this whole time. Pay attention to the colors that you're seeing and the world around you, and as you're looking forward towards the Yule, the fall is a really good time to be gathering some things to be included in your Yule log or your Yule altar, like the acorns or other nuts. That's what my daughter and I did last year. Is during the fall we went around and we kind of started picking up a few things that I knew I was going to want to use on my Yule log, and we ended up with a bunch of acorns and some walnuts that from our property here, and we put the acorns on our Yule log. Just used hot glue so they wouldn't fall off and roll around. And lo and behold, we had one sprout. So I feel really blessed that we have an oak sapling now that sprouted from an acorn from our Yule log. It's kind of a magical thing for me personally. It's just a really huge affirmation that I am on the path that I need to be on right now. Um, and it's just pretty doggone cool. Um, and there's, when it comes to your altar, you need to, a couple of things. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Your altar doesn't have to be huge. It could be something small. It could be a token of your belief or your faith or your tradition. It could be a candle that you light to help you focus, or it could be a bouquet of flowers or a rock or a stick that is a certain shape, or you were found out gathering, or feathers. Feathers have a whole different symbology to them, and those are all things that we see in our day to day life that everybody picks up, or everybody might see and find interest. You go to the beach and you might find driftwood. Don't be afraid to put that on your altar or on a shelf to celebrate, the element of water, or things like that that are small that you see in many households that are not pagan, that you can have and incorporate into your daily life without necessarily jumping out of the broom closet and saying, "Hey, here I am, and I'm a pagan, and you need to accept it." Because so many of us really don't share our beliefs necessarily with our broader family or all of our friends or socially. Because if you say, "Yes, I am pagan," everybody's first assumption is, "Oh, so you're a witch?" You don't have to be a witch if you're pagan. And you don't have to be pagan if you're a witch. I mean, they don't have to go together. And but because of the way the movies work right now, it seems like they do, but they don't. And so if you're still in the closet, don't be afraid about showing your beliefs just a little bit, but just make sure you're modifying them so that they blend into your world. So I guess an example would be if you've got a very contemporary home as far as your decorations go. Having a country basket of some sort may not fit in, but a very sleek pillar candle or obsidian or some sort of amethyst cut rock, I guess, may look just beautiful within your decor and blend in and match, but it's still part of your faith and your beliefs, but it doesn't look like it. So much of what we do to protect ourselves isn't so much as we're lying to others, it's we're misdirecting to protect ourselves. And don't be afraid to do that, because people just don't understand. And that's why the burnings happened at one point, and that's why there is some ostracism still, and just some unacceptance of the pagan path amongst society at large. Um, we are so often, encouraged to just be who we are out and proud in front of everybody else. And sometimes the best way to show our faith or show our beliefs is to keep them internal. So when it comes to our altars, we don't have to have a big altar. You don't have to have, something the size of, a pool table covered with rocks and pictures and candles and statuettes and all sorts of miscellany. It really can be something small. And a small altar does not mean you have a small belief. It just means you have a small altar. So what? Um, and your altar should really represent who you are and how you believe. So if your Aunt Sally gives you a statue because she thinks it's pagan and she's trying to encourage your belief, and you get it and it's not pagan, maybe it's one of the saints, and it doesn't reflect your beliefs, don't use it. Put it somewhere else. Say, hey, thanks, Aunt Sally. That's great. Instead, can you give me a gift card so I can go shopping for my own esoteric stuff? That'd be great. Um, Candles are very popular when it comes to our altars and such. You don't have to get the most expensive candles out there. You can go to the dollar store. You can go to thrift stores. You can go to garage sales. Excuse me. You don't have to spend a lot of money to decorate your altar and to show your faith and your beliefs. Budgets happen. We all have them in some form or another. So just a cautionary thing, though, is if you do buy something secondhand or even brand new, make sure you cleanse it prior to use. And I don't mean throw it in the sink and scrub it off with soap and water. I mean cleanse it spiritually. So this could be by exposing it to the full moonlight to cleanse it that way. It could be salt. It could be smudging. Um, yes, it could be soap and water if it needs to be, but that's a more physical way of cleaning things, not so much a spiritual or a type of cleansing. Um, and then something else you could even have, very popular right now, is the Himalayan salt lamps. They're good for the room. They and make the energy better. Yes, they do actually. But that is something that could be representative of your altar or on your altar, and it's still considered mainstream. It's a very in thing to have a Himalayan salt lamp or a tabletop water fountain or plants. By all means, get a potted plant. I've got several, much to my family's chagrin. They're all over the house, and they're just another way to connect, often with your faith. And go outside, go for walks, hug a tree. Seriously, I have an oak tree in my yard that actually I gathered my acorns from. And if I'm feeling a little stressed and need to relax, I go out and I talk to my tree. And not so much because I think the tree is going to take away that angst or that frustration I might be feeling, but because I'm releasing that tension, and I'm hoping that the oak, as a representative of the Oak King, is listening and might, help guide me a little bit in my path and how I'm moving forward. And So, don't be afraid to just integrate these regular everyday things into your practice, and they don't have to be big. They can be small. If you really want to do something big, go to a larger community event, like a Beltane event or a Yule event. Um, they're they happen often. You can check your local social media pages. Often there's information on any of those. Here, I just started a Facebook page with a friend of mine. We're called Esoteric Elements here in the Sandpoint area. And it's just a kind of a gathering place online for us to group together. And if you are local, we'll probably start having some meetings here into the summer because we want to just a little bit more community. We are going to break, and I hope you come right back. We're going to talk about parenting our little pagans.